Hey there, I'm Garrett, an ex-Tesla and Rivian engineer. I spend my time doing DIY building, engineering, and hands-on projects ranging from welding to carpentry. Today I'm going to give you some tips for using a cheap but high-quality welder to build your next project. So let's dive in. Today we're looking at the Primeweld TIG 225. It's a multi-process TIG and stick welder that works with both 110 and 220 voltage. So you can see right there, I just installed the adapter to go from 110 to from 220 to 110. Screwing in some of the components for the argon gas assembly and rolling in the argon gas tank. Grabbing some parts that come with the Primeweld. That right there is the regulator. The Primeweld's really great because it really sends everything you need to get the machine set up. You don't have to buy any other parts to get the machine working in your shop, which is great. I should also note that you should test to make sure you don't have any gas leaks by using a soapy bottle after you tighten everything down and spraying it and checking for bubbles. And if you see any, just keep tightening that down. Now I'm hooking up the ground, and depending on whether you're doing TIG or stick, that's what drives the location of your ground. But right here you can see I'm actually made a mistake. I put the ground where it would go for stick welding, not TIG welding, which is DC, direct current electrode positive, which I can talk more about later. But right there, getting ready to wire up the TIG welding torch, which is a really, really great quality torch for a low price machine like this. So these are all just kind of quick connect fittings. You screw them in kind of like a 3/4 turn. You hook up the remote controller, which in this case I'm going to use the foot pedal. So now I'm going to prep my tungsten. I bought this tungsten grinder attachment for different angles depending on your tungsten, and it hooks right into a Dremel, which is a great way to put that perfect angle on your tungsten torch. These are all the settings on the machine. You can see this machine can do a lot of different things, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to focus really just on direct current welding, which is great for most of your steel applications, but it can also do alternating current for aluminum. It also can do pulsing, and you can control settings like ramp up and ramp down. And I think I'll go over that in another video, but for the purpose of this, you just need a couple of those main dials there, really the current, and you can take a screenshot of this and have it set up for your machine. I set it to 100 amps. It's another little zoom into the torch right here. And now we're going to fire this thing up for the first time. You need to make sure you put that ground on the material directly to get the best grounding that you can. I'm using an auto darkening helmet. I always like to prepare my rod by cutting the end of it off between welds. So with that, I'm going to fire this thing up for the first time. And there we go. You can see depressing the foot pedal, it turns right on, and I can control up to 100 amps with that foot pedal. So we'll get some close-up shots here. You can see I'm feeding the rod, moving the torch forward, lifting up slightly as I'm going. And I can do, an inch or a couple inches of welds without having to reposition my hands or anything. But if I needed to do a really long weld, I could slide my hand along that table there and just keep feeding that rod through my fingertips. I get pretty close with my welding hood, but I do have a magnifier on that welding lens as well. And the machine just worked right out of the box. I turned it to 100 amps and put the foot pedal down, and it just worked. I tried to adjust the exposure here a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the arc. A couple different angles here. But again, just moving that rod it in and making sure I don't touch the tungsten to the or to the table, keeping it just out of that puddle but nice and tight. Slowly letting off the pedal and keep the post flow going for about 10 seconds to make sure the oxygen and air environment doesn't get to the weld. And this is my first couple welds here, not too bad, not the greatest. I've done better before, but haven't welded in a few years. So there we go. That's the Primeweld machine. Give you a little bonus content here. I was trying to come up with a thumbnail, so I took some really high quality selfies. Fortunately, none of these made it into the thumbnail, so they're just here for your enjoyment. But I'm going to make a few more videos about this machine, testing out stainless steel, aluminum, and eventually titanium, test out some stick welding, and I'll put together some tutorials on that. So thanks for watching. Take care.